Southern California, could it be on the verge of a housing crash?
Some economists are very concerned. Emmett Miller joins us now with this story. Give us a little insight into what's going on.
I'll certainly tell you what they're saying, and more than one of them is saying that the warning signs are there, and when it happens, it's going to be ugly.
The numbers are staggering. 6 straight years of double-digit gains. Median home prices cresting $500,000. Whole counties where fewer than 2 out of every 10 people can afford to live. Is the Southern California housing market headed for disaster? Have home prices become wildly unsustainable? Will there come a day of reckoning where values plummet and the wealth of the average homeowner is vanquished? Economist Ed Leamer is director of the UCLA Anderson Business Forecast.
You cannot have 20% appreciation like we've had here in Los Angeles year after year after year without creating a problem in that housing sector. A problem meaning people are paying more for the homes than they're really worth. A problem that has to be corrected sooner or later.
71?
Dr. Leamer says one trouble sign is the gap between median income and median home prices. Since 1989, the median household income in LA County has increased 53%. During the same period, the price of a single-family home increased 91%. A sudden jolt to the job market or a slight bump in interest rates from their 40-year lows is all it would take to trigger the next downturn.
It's terrible to live in a home that you think is worth a certain amount and you're reading the paper that's worth less and less every day.
Economists say we've been here before. In the early 1990s, massive aerospace layoffs, overbuilding, the LA riots, and the Northridge earthquake all sent housing prices in LA County into a free fall. Many homeowners who owed more on their houses than they were worth simply dropped the keys off at the bank. So, could it happen again? Well, this is the LA Air Force Base in El Segundo. 65,000 jobs, $8 billion in contracts, all on the chopping block. South Bay realtor Trace Keasler says that's more than enough jobs to begin driving home prices down.
Maybe you own a restaurant that a lot of the aerospace workers come to your restaurant. That could be impacted. If those people get laid off and they have to move out of the area, well, then that could affect housing prices.
In a recently published book called The Coming Crash in the Housing Market, economist John Talbot goes one step further. He says homeowners have become overextended, borrowing against their homes, and when the crash comes, all those folks with adjustable rate mortgages will be the first casualties.
The kitchen cabinets are clean and white and bright.
Charles Renegal appraises multi-million-dollar properties for a living. He doesn't buy the gloom and doom forecast, and he's been buying investment properties for himself at a furious pace. He says the market may slow, but it's still going up.
The big drivers are people moving to our county, which is another 450,000 in the next 5 years, and limited new supply. And in most parts of LA, you're going to have those things going on. So you're going to have demand. As long as there's demand, there's not a lot of opportunity for prices to go backwards.
Okay, economist John Talbot offers some tips on how to protect yourself against this whole thing. First of all, don't overpay for a property. If the price seems wildly inflated and it's the only house available, don't be lured into thinking it's a good deal. Next, don't over-leverage. If you can't afford the place with 10% down and a fixed-rate mortgage, you can't afford the place. Talbot says all those folks who took out adjustable rate mortgages to get into a fancy house, they're going to have a real shock when the rates actually start going back up. Also says Talbot, have a backup plan. Make sure you have a cushion, money put away just in case you lose your job. Basically, make sure you're in a house you can afford and that you can afford to ride out the bad times. That way, you don't even need to worry about it.
Well, we have a somebody in our production crew who's thinking to buy a house right now. I mean, is it a good time for her? This is a first-time home buyer,
Well,
isn't she?
one of the things for first-time home buyers that Talbot says as well, he says find areas that haven't gone up by percentage terms as much as other areas. So if you're going to buy out near the beach, probably not. But find a place that hasn't risen as much, and that way it'll be less likely to fall as far if it does fall.
Okay. Because I think a lot of people are worried about, like, is this the time to buy or no? That's a really good story,
A lot of stuff to think about there, Emmett.
We're crunching numbers as we speak. Thanks so much, Emmett.